Actually, why don't you tell the audience about who you are?
My name is Gregoroff. I grew up in San Diego, currently live in Las Vegas, and I own two companies.
I'm just curious. I mean, what you are known for today, your biggest venture so far, is going from literally a guy who had zero real entrepreneurial experience and saying, I'm going to open up a flip-flop shop and I'm going to make the world's most expensive and best well-made product on the planet.
I had zero leather experience. I knew nothing. I mean, I know as much. If you're sitting at home listening to this and you know nothing about leather, that's how much I knew. Yeah, well, it didn't even start off as that being the plan. That's just how it happened. We hold two world records, and we hold those world records over companies like Louis Vuitton and Fendi and Christian Dior and Prada and Hermes and all the mega fashion brands.
All right. My brother AG here. Welcome to the show, man. How are you today?
Good to see you, bro. Good to see you.
It's been a minute.
Yeah. How long have I known you for, bro? It seems like forever.
I would say 25 plus years now.
I don't remember not knowing you.
Bro. I mean, I know some stories about before me. You probably don't remember. Let's go back there.
Jesus.
Let's go back there. Actually, why don't you tell the audience about who you are, and then I want to kind of actually rewind it to like maybe the beginning, like Oceanside to Vegas to Sansu to jiu-jitsu to flip-flops.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that name in a long time. My name is AG Gregoroff. I grew up in San Diego, currently live in Las Vegas, and I own two companies. One of them, we produce the most expensive flip-flops in the world named Toehold. And the other is we produce really high-end ball pythons. The two don't go together. We don't use snake leather, as snake leather just overall kind of sucks. It's brittle. It's, falls apart in the sun. But two jobs that are really based on a high level of quality and detail.
Yeah, man, that's one thing I noticed about you and your work is that like, you were like, fuck what everybody else says. I'm going to do the best of the best. And I think that's one thing I really value about you. I remember in the beginning, you were always into motorcycles, dude. And you're always like talking about these crazy bikes. And then I remember you worked for Apple for a while. And I was like, it's just both of you and I had that kind of high end, like, I was with Bellagio and Wynn, and that was all a different caliber and Michelin star chefs, but just being the best at whatever we did,
Yeah, well, the difference is you actually became like a sommelier. You were working at the best restaurants in the world. Like you were classy. Dude, I lied my way through Apple. I didn't have a GED. I lied on the background. Like they put me in charge of a multi-million-dollar location, and I was the dumbest person in the building, bro. I was waiting every day to be found out. I felt like I was an agent, like I was a secret agent that was just in there to like gather intel, and I shouldn't have been there. And I'm waiting for everyone to find out that I shouldn't be there. But I've always been good at sales, so that's what kept it going. And I'm a hardcore Republican, and you don't get more liberal than Apple. And the people there had allergies, and they had weird opinions, and they didn't fight.
Dude,
I would just be like, oh, these employees are having a disagreement. Let's just let them fight it out. Well, that doesn't work in the corporate world.
No, it's funny because like I still wear your rash guard to every gym I go to, and it says violence solves everything. And everyone's just like, who the fuck is this guy in the room? I love it.
That's one of our more tame rash guards.
Oh, trust me. I know.
We have some wild ones.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I just want to rewind it a bit though. And, you had a pretty crazy upbringing like I did. Lots of violence. My uncle went to the same prison my grandfather went to. I know you had some interesting uncles and shit. And I think it's just good for the audience to kind of hear like two guys that came from kind of fucking trash, to be honest with you, make it to where we are today. I think it's inspiring for a lot of people, even though you might not see yourself that way. I think you're very inspiring, brother.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's weird is, I had friends growing up that were like legit criminals. They were criminals. They went on to become Hell's Angels and gang leaders and, members of the Mexican mafia and all the different types of stuff, where we grew up at. And I got in my share of trouble, but I was never like a criminal. Like I've done stuff that, got me thrown in jail. But the stuff I actually went to jail for, I didn't do. They threw me in jail for stuff I didn't do. But I was always just wanted to be really good at whatever I did. So if we were like going to be street kids, let's be good at it, And I really, really wanted to be in the military, but with no GED and, a little bit of criminal past, which would have been overlooked at the time, but really the tattoos at the time were the thing. And I didn't have this hand tattoo, but this wrist tattoo right here that crossed the wrist bone, that was a waiver. And the chick fucking the panther on my neck was the other waiver. And there was just there was no getting past that. You know, even if I went and got a GED, or a high school diploma, at the time they wouldn't overlook that. Now, years later, when we were deep in the war, they would have took anybody, you know, but at the time, like around September 11th, early 2000s, they had everybody. They had the best of the best, and they had anybody they wanted. So they wouldn't even dare look at somebody like me. But that's what I wish I would have done. Now, would I have been good at it? The violence part, absolutely. You know, I would love to be able to just be cut loose on the battlefield and just fucking kill people relentlessly and without, you know, any feelings towards it. But the part I would struggle with would be some of the like being told what to do and, you know, things like that. And, you know, I'd be able to look at a situation and be like, that's dumb. Why are we doing it that way? Let's go do it this way. So that part I would struggle with, but the violence aspect of being cut loose to just have overwhelming violence towards other people, I'd be extremely comfortable and happy with that portion.
Yeah. Speaking of violence, well, I would just say one thing we have in common is like, that was my dream as well. When I was younger, I just got distracted with Vegas. As you know, I was a bit of a distraction in Vegas. I think both of us were, but I'm just curious, you decided not to go down that path based on the fact that you just couldn't. I know you did some stuff with the Marine Corps later. We can talk about that, but what was the path like for you pre, you know, violence? I know you got into jiu-jitsu. I know pre jiu-jitsu and all that, you were out in the streets a bit. I'm just curious if you want to elaborate on any of it.
Yeah, so we started doing jiu-jitsu early. So when I was 13, this guy named Jerry, so my older brother, who's 6 years older than me, he was a professional skateboarder. And he had a guy named Jerry who was older than him. So let's say I'm 13, Jerry's like, I'll just say 21-ish, right? And Jerry met this dude named Nelson down at the beach, Brazilian guy. And Jerry started taking like Brazilian jiu-jitsu, quote unquote, because there was no school back then. Like he just learned in his garage. And Jerry would come back and show us like a triangle or an arm bar or something, just rudimentary. And we would take that and we'd use it against, you know, the guys from our neighborhood who weren't there. When they showed up later on that evening, we would throw an arm bar on them or rear naked choke. The Mata Leon is what they called it back in the day. And then they were like, what is this magic you're doing? And then at the time, I didn't go to high school, but at the high school timeline, you know, my dad would leave me like $1.50 for lunch because that's how much lunch was back then. And we would take the bus and go to Nelson's house and he would show us a move or two, you know? So we started doing jiu-jitsu early on, but it was only used for bad. Like we didn't use it for good. There was no lessons on like, here's how you be a better person. You know, if someone's trying to steal an old lady's bag, here's how you defend her. Like there was none of that. It was like, how am I going to be able to hurt people or like, you know, get one up on my older brother or be able to choke somebody. So we started doing that in the early days, even before the UFC came out. But like I said, there was no martial art aspect of it. You know, there was no aspect of being a better person or any of that sort of stuff. And I kind of periodically trained a little bit here and there. And it was always just like a fun hobby, you know. And then when I moved to Vegas, I got into it. There was times in my life where I got super into it, then got out and then got in, then got out. And I've been doing that my whole life. And then during that time, I wound up getting in some trouble, wound up going to jail for a couple of years. And then when I got out, I started working in a strip club, like doing security, because that's, you know, you're lifting weights and, you know, jiu-jitsu, that's an easy job to do. And I wound up being a personal trainer and I wound up working in the gyms, doing sales, and came to Vegas, was a high-rise window cleaner. So I was all over the place doing all kinds of different stuff. And then, you know, I got back into training several different times, but one of those times was with you and Chris. Is it McCure or McCune? I always mess up his last name. Chris McCune. I always mess up his last name. Yeah. I tell people stories about what a psycho Eric is, and they don't believe me. Nobody ever believes me.
Dude, it's so funny because I had Eric Nixick on the show, and obviously Eric's very well respected in the field, right? He's probably the best MMA coach in the world. And he's like, you guys are just straight psychopaths. And he's like, and Eric was the leader of you, you know, just animals.
Yeah, didn't Eric wind up getting stabbed or something like that? What wound up happening with
Yeah.
him?
So Eric Nixick and Eric Drobny worked together at
Mm,
Three Angry Wives. And Eric was kind of known for that graveyard shift, our Eric Drobny. And dudes would come in and test him, and he'd always be getting in fights and shit and just throwing people out. And these two dudes kind of started talking shit to him, and they lured him out just by calling him a pussy, whatever, dragging him out the bar in the sense of luring him out. And one dude was, it was interesting because there was the bar was built up against a brick wall to separate it to the next parking lot. So it was like a little like 6 foot, 3 foot area. The dude was hiding back there, and he just ran up behind Eric and got him 8 times in the lung with a Bowie knife. And Eric beat the fuck out of him, took the knife, wrecked the other dude. And then the story from what I hear is the cops come, he's on this dude, other dude ran away. And the guy's like, bro. He's like, stop. He's like, lift up your shirt. And he's just gushing blood, dude. Just like crazy. He was living with me at that time. It was an interesting fucking time, dude.
that's such an Eric story. Eric, you
I
literally
got stabbed and I fucked everybody up and they ran away.
you literally like if someone was like, "Here's a knife, you got to fight Eric with a knife," I'd be like, "Ugh, God, that's gonna be a tough one, bro." Even with the knife, that guy was such a monster gorilla psychopath. He's almost like those guys you used to see on TV back in the day when we'd watch Cops, and you'd see like a guy on PCP, and there's like 8 cops with billy clubs, and there's a dog on his arm. His clothes are all shredded. That's Eric, like after one drink.
Dude, let me give you all context for Eric. So Eric is 5'8" on a good day, and he was 245 pounds and pretty friggin' lean. And he could squat 787 was his max squat, and he could pause 500 on his chest, which was a big deal. But for me, the biggest deal was this dude could clean 350 from his hip, not touching the ground. Dude was, and that's not to mention, the fact that he was just a killer martial artist. So
Yeah, wasn't he a multiple black belt, black belt in a few different things?
yeah,
I'm not
he
mistaken.
eventually got. I'm pretty sure he got his black belt in jiu-jitsu eventually. He was an 8th degree black belt in Sansu, and then he also had like a Kyokushin karate or some shit. Dude, he kicked some dude in the throat, and I think he killed him, and I think he did like 6 months to a year on that. And then he pretty much got out because it was considered self-defense because the guy was attacking him. So
What a maniac. Such a great guy too. I'd go and see him. He'd work he'd be the pit. He worked in the pit at Caesars. If you guys ever been to Caesar's Palace, the old Caesar's Palace, the pit when you walk in with the chandeliers, he was there. He'd give me like an Italian kiss on the cheek. He'd pull out a couple comps in his pocket. Like he seemed like
in a suit.
yeah, he seemed like you would like a underboss of an Italian crime family. Like that's the kind of look. Who he reminds me of is the bad guy's son in Roadhouse. Remember that guy?
Yes.
Google him if you
Yes.
don't know who it is. But the son with like the curly black like what the fuck's that redneck haircut called that Coach Casey has?
The mullet.
Mullet. Thank you. I lost my words. Yeah, that's Eric. Like a denim shirt, sleeves cut off.
Totally, dude. Just jacked though, because the dude in Roadhouse was not that jacked, but he had that look, and he had really good hair, bro. Like definitely had to use some Aquanet
Great
on that
hair.
shit or something.
Yeah, great hair. What kind of gear was he running, bro? Is he still alive?
He's still alive. He's got a family now, 2 daughters that are like, I think, almost teenagers. But yeah, he was
He probably
was the
doesn't
guy that
remember
was
me, but tell him I said what's up if you talk to him.
for sure, bro. 100%. I haven't talked to him in years, but yeah, he actually married Diana and he has 2 kids. But he's an interesting character. He was running all kinds of like they were just coming back with Trembolone and all that stuff.
50 tram, all kinds of crazy shit.
Dude, he told me, this is a true story. He said for 2 years he was taking 250 milligrams a day of Anadrol. Okay, like Anadrol is like 50
that's what it is. Yeah,
that's like
Anadrol.
50 milligrams a day is like, yeah, we're solid. And he said he was doing drop sets on the squat, and he would use 100-pound plates, and he goes 600, 400, 200, and he would do like 5 sets of those. I don't know, dude, just absolute psychopath, dude.
Yeah, he's a monster, dude. They don't build people like him anymore. Thank God.
Now thank God is right. It's crazy because I've had some psychos in my life shape me. My stepfather was very similar to Eric, but I always remember this story Eric told where they're in the corner. Have you ever had smelling salts?
They suck. I
That,
had him over at Rogan's place. They suck. He makes everybody
dude,
do them.
they burn like a motherfucker, right? So they're
Yeah.
ammonia. So there's this dude, and they're all in the corner hitting the smelling salts and then just crushing these lists. And this guy's like, "What is that? I want some. I want some." I'm like, no, you don't want them. This like, no, I want it. It's like, all right. It's like, how do I do it? So they take the capsule. They take this fucking capsule, and they say, "Here, you just got to put it in your nose like this." So they put it in the dude's nose. It wasn't, and Eric just goes boom and fucking smacks the dude. And the dude's like, "Oh," just screaming. Can you imagine that thing inside of your nose? I can barely put it near my face.
Gosh.
Like that's how psycho these guys were.
It's like if you ever took like a giant handful of wasabi and ate it, it's like that would be like a 10 out of 100 on what these smelling salts are like. It feels like somebody fires like a nail. At least for me, it feels like someone has a gun and fires a nail into my nose. It like physically hurts.
Dude, it's super painful. Super painful. Yeah, I miss those days. I think,
and I don't know what it does. I don't know what it does. I don't know what it does.
I know it wakes you up. That's all I know.
It makes me not want to lift weights. That's for sure.
Well, Eric has a different opinion, I think. But yeah, I was just going to say, like, I miss the one thing about the school no rules was just that level of camaraderie and closeness. I think when you're that close and you're that violent and you're together all the time, like it just produces like maybe like something you'd experience in the military or as a police officer. I don't know. It was a pretty cool time in our lives.
Is there anything off limits on this show?
Fuck it. We can always edit. Let's go for it.
Bro, remember the days of fucking doing tons of GHB and ecstasy, going to class and just throwing up on your gi or throwing up one of those red buckets? Dude. Just getting your ass kicked the next morning after partying all night?
I remember one time I was 21 and we're all out partying. You might have been there. It was like a Neil and Lisa and we're all fucked up. I'm like, dude, let's go train. So we all drove fucked up down to the gym. I opened up the gym at like 2 a.m. We all like rolled and we're like sparring with like MMA gear. Like it was out of control. But I remember a funny story about you, which you already know which story I'm going to probably tell. We're in the club and I'm like, bro, try this. We're in Dre's after hours and I give you a water bottle and you just fucking whoosh. And I'm like, bro, that's GHB. You're supposed to take like this much. And you pretty much like, I think that's how you got clout with Greg because you didn't throw up or die in the club. You like got out and got to an ambulance.
I refuse to die in the club. So if you guys don't know what GHB is, how would you even explain what it is? It looks clear like water, and it was delivered in a water bottle. But you would take the tiniest little capful, like if you had one of those Kirkland water bottles, a tiny little microscopic caps. You do a little bit of that, take a shot of it, and it's like the rules are: do not take it with alcohol. And I had already drinking like a full bottle of Cavassier and probably half a bottle of Rumpelmintz. And I don't know how much I drank, but at least a giant swig, at least enough to kill several people.
Dude, you took a huge swig. Like you took enough GHB that somebody would do that over like a 3 or 4 day period. Like
oh my God. That would be that. Yeah. And then I remember, I mean, I don't remember this, but I remember being told this, that I refused to die in the club at Dre's. So I crawled up the stairs out into like the valet to die out there so it wouldn't ruin anybody's night. And then Greg's like, I like this guy. Me and Greg, Greg became friends after that.
Dude, such a gentleman, such a gentleman. Greg was awesome too. Miss that guy. That was a I don't know, like a dynasty that time in our lives. It was a blast. Going to Dre's after hours, then parting the seas for us to come in when there's 1,000 people at the door.
So Dre's was the #1 nightclub in the world for years and years and years. And this was like, I mean, you'd see Tito Ortiz with his belt. You see Chuck Liddell with his belt. Like, what was going on back then? Like Sugar Ray, Mark McGrath, like Tom Green. Like this was like, you know, when the world
Pauly
was still
Shore.
yeah, this is when the world was still a normal world, you know. Pamela Anderson, Tommy, what was the guy's name? Tommy Lee. This is that time frame. And this club was impossible to get into. Like there would literally be 800, 600, 1,000 people outside waiting to get in. And we just walk up to the front door and get right in. And people would be like, who the fuck are those guys? And we just hang out with Greg, who was the manager. He would comp stuff. We would hang out, party, doing a little bit of fucking this and that. But dude, that place was so happening back in the day. Did you hear they're moving back downstairs?
I had no idea. That's crazy.
Yeah, my buddy who works at Cosmos said that they're closing Dre's on the roof and they're moving it back downstairs.
I mean, it was just an epic time. I remember I would get off work because I worked at Bellagio, and I would take a nap for like 2 hours, and I would just go straight to after hours. Like, fuck the club. Like that was like the thing. So yeah,
so we were in San Diego one time, and I was with these Mexican guys, and they were talking about Dre's, and I was like, yeah, my buddy runs Dre's. They're like, no, he doesn't. And I was like, bullshit. The fuck yeah, he does. We could go right now and get in. Bro, we drove 4 hours from San Diego to Vegas, walked right in, had a drink, and then they had to leave because they had to go back to work. And I just stayed with Gregory all night and partying.
Dude, remember his after parties?
Yep.
Dude, like it started at noon usually.
Yeah.
After we go to Glow.
Yeah, we would go depending on what year it was, we spent a lot of time on his boat. Remember that?
Yeah.
We'd be partying on his boat, or we'd go to the Hard Rock, or we'd go to, what was the other place? Glow? Was that the one at the SRS or whatever it was called? The
SRO? No, that was the one at the Hop. And that was actually Polly's spot, who's part of the whole Live nightlife group out in Miami now. So
this was, what was the guy's name? We'll go way back. What was the guy's name? Tony something. They used to wear those kangaroo hats. What were they called?
Dude, Tony Verdugo with the
Tony Verdugo
of 20 fucking Samoan Booyah Tribe gangsters, bro.
That's so funny.
Dude, I got a story. You want to hear a story about that?
I do.
So you know me, like we could walk through the back and no one was allowed back there. We'd be walking through the back and these guys are like, what up, Mark? High-fiving you. They're like 350 pounds. So I walk in the back and there's Tony standing up and he's got 3 dudes on this dude's like, he's like, hit that motherfucker again. It's just like a mafia movie. And he's like, Mark, what's up? I'm like, I need to take a piss. He's like, go ahead. He's like, hit him again. He just like, just such a different world back then.
That was the very end of like the old school Vegas days where like dudes would get beat up if they acted out of line. There was big comps happening. It was all about connections. And it was all about like the guys that had power. If you were a Vegas person, they knew that you were about it. You were in, because it was tough to live in Vegas back then. How many people fell apart all the time, bro? All the time.
Crazy.
And how many of our friends fell apart? What was the guy's name? Josh or something we knew? Like there were so many guys that we knew. Was it Josh? I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but there were so many dudes that we were friends with over the years that like, you're like, hey, what happened to so-and-so? Oh, dude, he's living under the freeway, or, he shot out on drugs or, she got pregnant and fucking moved back to God knows where.
Yeah, it wasn't for the weak. I can tell you that. I was thinking more about the tourist side too. Like I remember, do you remember the crew at Crazy Horse 2 that was just like everybody was over 6'5" and 300 pounds?
Bubbles?
Just psychos. Bubbles, the mafia guy that ran the front. But dude, these dudes would take guys in the back.
No one knows what the fuck we're talking about, bro.
But dude, no, they would literally take guys in the back and beat them down and then pull their money out of the ATM. And they got that one dude so bad that he was like paraplegic. So they brought down a lawsuit and all that had to stop. But these are you just didn't fuck around in Vegas back in the day.
No, they had this giant, like fat Italian guy named Bubbles that worked the front door. He'd be like, I got to talk to the boss. Let me talk to the boss. All right, you guys good. Come on in. Go ahead and sit down. Sit down's over here.
Dude, I knew this. I think he was Armenian kid, David. And I talked to him and he told me he was the manager of all those guys. And I met him later. I was like, bro, why don't you keep him in line? He's like, Mark, you try fucking keeping those guys in line. Because those bouncers would just be like, nope, that's it. We're gonna handle this guy.
What was our boy's name? He just messaged me the other day. He worked the door at Dre's. Remember the big, like, was he Armenian or?
Yeah. Bulgarian,
yeah.
Yeah.
Tough dude. He's a black belt. Tough fucking dude. T. I don't know.
He does not like me. Do you remember that?
I think I remember that now, but at the time you guys were cool, right? Back then.
Yeah, but I fought him in that tournament and I beat him twice and he got all pissed off and went and complained, remember? And so
that'll do it.
They took my belt away.
That'll do it. I tried telling people how good you were at jiu-jitsu back in the day, but nobody fucking, you can't tell people how good you were because then it sounds braggy. But I was like, I was there. I watched them fucking run motherfuckers 20-0 in tournaments and just school motherfuckers. You know what I mean?
It was a different time. I'm trying to get back at it now. I'm working for
No,
that.
don't go
You
back
know.
at it, dude. It's like that shit's behind us. That shit's behind.
All right, let's start speaking forward now. I'm just curious. I mean, what you are known for today, your biggest venture so far, is going from literally a guy who had zero real entrepreneurial experience and saying, I'm going to open up a flip flop shop and I'm going to make the world's most expensive and best well-made product on the planet. Like, fucking talk about that.
Yeah, well, it didn't even start off as that being the plan. That just is how it happened. So my goal was just to produce my own product for myself. And I had zero leather experience. I knew nothing. I mean, I know as much. If you're sitting at home listening to this and you know nothing about leather, that's how much I knew. I didn't even know where leather came from. And I just self-taught myself, and I would just tinker and tinker and tinker until I kind of got something that was a resemblance of a flip-flop. And then I just built off that for years, and we're going on our 9th year now. And the goal was always to make them the best. And it was never about starting a company. You know, that's the big thing is it was just my own quest to make my own thing. And guys kept asking for them. And I would tell guys, yeah, I'll make you a pair when I get a chance. And another guy from a different, gym would ask for a pair. And I'd be like, nah, I don't really like that guy. I'm not going to make him a pair. And we've kind of just kept that model. And then at the time, we always had, hot jujitsu chicks around us. So I'd ask, a chick like, hey, throw this shirt on real quick or hold these flip-flops. I'm going to take a pic. And even to this day, like our page is just hot chicks and occasionally flip-flops, and not even that many flip-flops. It's mostly just all hot chicks. And we make the most expensive flip-flops in the world. We hold 2 world records. And we hold those world records over companies like Louis Vuitton and Fendi and Christian Dior and Prada and Hermes and all the mega fashion brands. Because those guys dabble in a lot of different things, but we primarily focus on flip-flops. And our flip-flops look different, they feel different, and they're made out of materials that most humans have never seen before. For example, like if I held up a gold bar, everyone would know that gold bar was worth a lot of money. And if I showed you a diamond, a sack of diamonds, you'd be like, those are worth a lot of money. But if we walked around something like, let's say, a grocery store and we just looked at girls, every chick would have a diamond ring on. Like they're everywhere. If we went to a UFC fight and we just like checked the crowd, everybody would have a diamond ring on. They're everywhere, right? The leather we have in our shop out back, most humans have never seen it before. Like there's a hide in there that killed multiple villagers. There's a crocodile there that ate some villagers in Zimbabwe. There's a piece of rhino out there that was originally acquired in like 1983. There's only 2 of those creatures left on Earth in the wild. So when I'm talking about this stuff is rare, it's the rarest. You could be the richest guy on Earth and you can't get more of it. Your money can buy what we have, but you can't go and get more of what we have. We have some special tribal licenses, like we've had polar bear, which is impossible to get in the US. Saltwater crocodile, which is impossible to get in the US. So just this fanatical obsession to make the best stuff has led to just the most crazy products. And our flip-flops, our most common flip-flops are $1,000. And most people, they'll see a pair of flip-flops at the store for $7. They'll see ours for $1,000, and they don't understand how we got to $1,000. And that is absolutely okay. We don't want you to understand. And these are 100% not for you. These are for people that are psychotically fanatical about the best quality. It would be no different than those nice restaurants, you worked in. We went to Spago the other day that used to be Olives, remember? Mm-hmm. And, that's Olives was definitely nicer than Spago, but somebody from the Midwest, let's say, let's just say somebody from a poor country, like from India, they're not going to understand spending $100 for a piece of beef. They don't get it. It's not for them. It's not for them to understand either. And our product isn't for, necessarily rich people. It's for people that understand quality. Most of our customers are cops, military, MMA guys, jujitsu guys, hunters. Hunters make up our biggest demographic. But people that truly understand, the quality. And if you're saying, I don't want to go buy $100 steak, I could go to McDonald's and get a piece of meat for 99 cents. You absolutely can. And we're not the type of company that's suited for somebody like you. We're suited for people that want absolutely the best thing in the world. And we all got a few bucks. I could go buy my girl a Louis Vuitton bag, and you could buy your girl a Louis Vuitton bag, and this guy could buy his girl a Louis Vuitton bag. And we all have, quote, expensive bags, but they're identical. And the material those bags are made of are a rubber infused canvas. If you've seen that brown Louis Vuitton logo, that's canvas. They can make as many of those as they possibly want. There's no scarcity to that. And they're actually not even that difficult to make. You get a pair of Nikes, for example, and we've seen Nikes that range at what, $300, $400, $600, $1,000 plus. Well, there's nothing about those that are rare, let's say, okay? It's a synthetic material that they could literally produce 1 billion pairs if they wanted to, because that material is endless. It's man-made, it's easy to make. And those Nikes probably cost them between $2.50 and $3.50 to make, and they'll sell them for like $600 or $700. Our flip-flops cost $1,000, and they're made out of the rarest stuff on earth. And the tread is made in America, and the leather is made in America. And then if you do one of our exotics, that exotic is ethically sourced over in Africa. It goes through a tanning process, which takes months. Then we grade it. They'll send us over the portion we want. We'll get that hide, and we'll cut out only the most beautiful, strongest pieces from that hide, and we'll discard the rest. And out of that, we could get that down to only $1,000. It costs us hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars to make. So the fact that we can get our product down to even something as low as $1,000 is a testament to how good we are at logistics and operations and systems. They should be in the upwards of thousands and thousands of dollars. And we go to the Louis Vuitton store a lot in Vegas because we have, 7 or 8 of them here, maybe 6, 7, 8 of them, whatever it is. We have a lot of them here. And you'll see their shoes. Their shoes are $800, but their shoes cost dollars to make. They're not made out of leather. They're not made out of anything nice or fancy. They're not even made really by hand. A machine makes most of them. So there's intrinsic value and there's real value. And we're for people that understand real value. And we've taken something like a fashion brand, which, we're not really a fashion brand, but a lot of people call us a fashion brand. And we've taken something that didn't exist in America as really high quality footwear and a high end flip flop. And we've taken it away from these gigantic French fashion houses and these Italian fashion houses. And in a matter of years, we just went and just scooped those titles and brought them back to the US by a complete fucking moron, bro. That shows like the American, that shows that American pride on if we just put our minds to it, bro, there's nothing anybody can stop us from doing anything. You know what I mean? Like,
I agree.
We're just so good. We're just so bred to win as Americans that as soon as we get focused on doing anything, we're going to be the best at it. And I got this overwhelming, it's crazy. I have this sense of pride wouldn't even be the right word. It's more of an incredible level of responsibility. Okay. And that responsibility comes because we put made in America on our products. Okay. So we have a duty, just like, like somebody who's going to be a prince of a country or a king of a country, they have a duty to their people. We have a duty to the American people that because this product is made in America, it has to be the absolute highest standard in the world, where any country can take one of our products, they can give it to their scientists and their craftsmanship and their craftsmen and their engineers, and they could be like, could you make this better? And that answer globally has to be a resounding no. They fucking can't, because there's no way to possibly beat what we fucking do, because we care the most, and there's nobody more psychotic about what we do than me.
I love it, dude. You are definitely psychotic. I want to talk about your customer service in a minute, because all of my audience are founders, but I just want to break down what I heard, because this is, you just spoke off the cuff about something that I'm going to break down in pillars about business, which is one, a lot of people are like, oh, nobody wants my stuff or no one's buying it. Like, you created something that people were actually like, hey, can I have one of those? Like, that's the start. That's the foundation. And then you started building something that had a niche to it, marketing, whether it was boobs and flip-flops, you niched it out. And then I was looking at just the fact that you said, okay, well, what does the market need? Well, it wants scarcity and it wants status. So you place yourself and you position now. And then you have an overwhelming obsession, right? And then I think something that you have that's a little bit above what I've seen in general, which makes you so psychotic, is you have a responsibility and a duty. And that's a beautiful, beautiful trait when you're building something. I think out of everything, most people are missing 4 and 5, but the rest of the world, there's no responsibility and duty anymore. So I just want to commend you on that, because it comes from a deep place in your heart. And I know that. So that's awesome.
I'm going to share something with you. So this morning I was checking our inventory. Anything that goes out to customers, I inspect it before it goes out. And one of our belts, we sell elephant belts. They're about $800. They're hand stitched, stunning belts. We had the wrong size belt in the box set for the customer. And just looking at it, I was like, that's not a size, 38. I could just tell, coiled up, I could tell it's not the right size. Shop manager came in and had to explain why the fuck were we about to stake our reputation and send something to somebody that was the wrong size. Just the wrong size. That's it, mispackaged. Our shop manager is home right now with his family, and he needs to go home and tell his family why he fucked up today and he's not at work, because that one tiny fucking mistake can ruin our reputation. And that's the fucking iron hand that we have to have, because as the CEO of the company, nothing in the world is more important to me than toehold. Nothing. You know what I mean? Like, my staff that works for me, the second most important thing is their safety and their family and all that sort of stuff. But it's not first, it's fucking second. You know what I mean? Like, if a corner needs to be cut because you have to go home and pick up your kids, go home, pick up your kids, and never, ever come back. Because the number one priority is the company and the reputation, number one. And a lot of companies flip that, or they do something different, or to the customer service side, okay? The customer service side is, I'm the CEO, let me insulate and isolate myself from your customer. Oh my fucking God. Bro, I wish somebody else would start a flip-flop company like ours so I could just fucking smoke them, dude. Because they're so bad at what they do. People are so bad at customer service. And I got friends that own billion-dollar companies. I don't want to drop their fucking names, but I got friends that own huge fucking companies. And I'm like, bro, I'll fucking email you guys for the fuck of it, and I don't hear back from your staff for 2 or 3 days. What in the fuck is your staff doing? Let me guess. You guys have so much money, you don't need to take any more money? Are you out of your fucking mind? So what I'll do as the CEO of the company is I'll hire people to do all the tasks that I don't have to do, because the number one priority is engaging with our customers. Number one, where the failure of most companies is, you're going to put an intern as your contact person on social media, on the phone. The person who answers the phone should be your highest paid person, because that's the very first person making contact with the customers that you're spending thousands and thousands of dollars to get these customers through marketing and advertising and branding and reputation. And then as they get to your fucking hook, as they get to your bait, you're like, let's let fucking Junior reel them in. Fuck no. You put your best person on that phone. We did the same thing at Apple. We put one of our top people on the phone. So when you called in, we knew exactly what you needed, exactly what you wanted. We were able to steer that customer either to more products or to the solution they needed. Versus if we called right now, what phone carrier do you have? Probably fucking Telemundo, because you're in... Where are you at?
I'm in Colombia right now. I got Tigo. Yeah.
Tigo.
Tigo, bro.
If we called Verizon right now, we're going to get the Philippines or India, okay? And we're going to get somebody who sucks at customer service. And what'll happen is, eventually, if I complain enough and I want to cancel, I'll eventually get to some stud in the US who's super good, or some lady who's just outstanding, and she'll talk me into staying, right? And they put their best people at the very, very end, right? Flip that shit. Put those best people at the beginning. Have the interns handle all the bullshit, meaningless stuff that doesn't involve customer contact, and then you capture 100% of those fish that you're constantly driving to the net. You're capturing them on fucking contact. I don't understand business people's psychology. If someone's like, you want to go to a business class, a business, like, fuck no, I want nothing to do with standard ways businesses think. We thought different at Apple. And the moment I took over that Apple store, we went from like a $10 million a year to almost $100 million a fucking year, because we just looked and was like, oh, here's the problem. Let's fucking fix this, you know? And it's always a little tiny fucking details. It's a little tiny details. It's the little bean counters that start finger fucking thing. Vegas sucks now. You know why it sucks? Because they got rid of fucking valet. They got rid of valet. That's your first point of fucking contact. You know, now I got to pay to go spend money with you. Where normally I would drop off my car. I'd be like, hey, I'm trying to get in a marquee with these chicks. They'd be like, I'll call my boy Doug. He's going to take care of you. I throw you $200. Boom. I'm juiced in right away off the bat. Nowadays, none of that exists. It's some fucking no-named nobody. It's some fucking parking lot ticket. There's some fucking concierge nobody knows. It's literally just a fucking machine. Everyone's doing these like weird programs online where they're like, well, I don't even know what the fuck that word is, where you're like, you delegate stuff to other people. Fuck no, do it yourself. Handle more, handle until you die, be a man, take on more workload. And even today, like if you message us on social media, you might get somebody on my staff physically typing, but they're going to be like, AG, Mark says that he'll be here at 7. And I'll just be like, I tell them, let's do 6:30 instead. They're not making any fucking decisions, you know? But then I could tell this person, send that message. It's all the decision-making is going directly through the leader of the company. And when people don't do that, these companies fall apart, bro. And they suck bad.
You know, it's funny you say that, because it reminds me of like I'd work in these $20 to $40 million a year restaurants, and we always would complain because the first touch point would be an 18-year-old fucking hostess.
Sucks.
That literally was just like how, what could she possibly know? She's 18, you know? And then I remember working at this one restaurant, and they had this 28 to 30-year-old, like suave, super dressed Argentinian dude named Santiago. There's a maitre d', completely different experience. He knew how to handle people. He was sharp. Mm-hmm. He was on point. And I was just thinking, like, what you said about all this customer service piece for me is the world I'm in is automation, AI, delegation. And I'm like, fuck that. So I went straight boutique one-to-one. And what I really think the future is going to be is I think the future is going to be boutique one-to-one is going to be such a high-end ticket market, because everyone's just going to try to automate everything. They're not even using their own voices anymore. Everything is just fake. And I think that people will pay. Like, for example, we know like a regular cheap Seiko keeps better time than an AP or a Rolex. But the amount of effort and craftsmanship that goes into that is what you're paying for. And I truthfully think, I've said this, I'm doubling down on humanity in a world of AI. And I also think that the future is going to be boutique. That's the people that are going to really crush it, because it's just, everything's just going to be like, you know, basic, fucking all used up.
Yeah. Everything's trying to be Tyson chicken. I want the local butcher shop, bro. I want the butcher 100%. Shop. He knows the cuts I like. He's putting the stuff I want off to the side. So I'll give you an example. There was a company that made flip-flops. Okay. They're the exact opposite of us. This is a true story. They went on Shark Tank. They got a shark. They're veteran owned. They're offshore. They're inexpensive. They run their social media with like constant sales and all that type of stuff. They do the whole corporate thing. Okay. We got like 600,000 more followers than them. Okay. They have Mark Cuban. They have all the marketing. They have all the bullshit. I messaged them one day and I said, hey, your advertising is so fucking gay, bro. Why do you do a sale every Thursday? Why would anybody buy from you any other day of the week if you're always on fucking sale? You know what I mean? Like, it was just dumb. Like, why are you always on sale? So every Thursday they do a sale, and they're doing like, their shirts say super gay shit, like be a nice person or be a better person. And I'm like, bro, these guys are the exact opposite of us. I got a fucking dead pedophile hanging in the tree on my shirt I'm wearing right now. And kids are firing arrows at him while wearing toe hold flip-flops. You know what I'm saying? But The contrast is like all these corporate things, that's not sexy. People want to know who they're buying from. And when you advertise to people, whatever it is, if it's a billboard with a telephone number, if it's an email I fucking hate email. It's the worst way to possibly communicate with people. Any of those types of methods is social media. When they message you, you have to respond back to them maximum within an hour. Maximum within an hour. Don't tell me you're fucking busy. Busy doing what? I got friends that are CEOs. What are you doing? You're in a board meeting? Get the fuck out of the board meeting, you jerk off. The board meeting is for your staff, and then they'll just relate to you what's going on. You know what I mean? You don't need to be in a board meeting. That's stupid. We refuse to have fucking meetings, dude. No meetings. Customer contact. We got this thing we call the Christmas challenge, okay? So if Christmas rolls around and Christmas was just a couple months ago, month ago, something like that, and you messaged any company, right? Leading up to Christmas, you already know how lazy people get the week preceding Christmas. But if you emailed a company on Christmas Day, you would expect to hear back from them probably like the Tuesday or Wednesday after the new year, right? Right? We had a
100%.
We had a 27-second response time to email on Christmas Day, bro. 27 seconds. So fast that people thought it was an automated message that came back. And the reason we do that is because I understand that on Christmas Day, you're sitting with your family who you're already over. You've been around them for a few days. You're tired of dealing with them. You know what I mean? Your in-laws are over. You know, the football games aren't on. You're bored as shit. And you just opened up your brand new pair of $1,500 flip-flops. And you want to know, how do I break them in? Are these the right size? Can I get these wet? What should I do? So you message us, and then you would normally wait 7 days before we message you back. You know how fucking crazy that is, bro?
It's wild.
I could ride a bike across the country in 7 days, bro. That's insane. That's insane. 27 seconds, we respond back to you. And it's me. I'm doing it. You know what I mean? I'll do it. My staff kills it up until Christmas. Christmas Day, I'm taking the emails and responding to people in real time. Because of that, people buy tons of shit from us on Christmas Day because they're like, oh, dude, fuck, what? I got this gift card. Can I use it right now? Okay, I'll use the gift card, and then I want to also add this, and that, right? Whatever it is, that customer experience, nobody's doing that stuff, bro. People are trying to get away from their customers. Why don't you deal with your customers on the weekends? Why don't you deal with them after 5 p.m.? What about your business is designed to bring customers in, whatever business it is, but then you have these limits where a customer can't come in during that time? That's crazy. That's fucking crazy.
But do you know that like the entire coaching industry that I've been a part of for the last decade is built upon that shit? And I just don't understand. I mean, first of all, a coach is a very, very...
Build on what aspect of that? Build on what
the aspect of like less work, more space, more tiers between you and your customer, more insulation, don't work so hard. And I'm just like, first of all, I want you doing something that you love to do so much it doesn't feel like work. No Delta operators out there like, God, I wish this war would end right now. You know what I mean? Like, can we get some more conflict? Right. And then I think for me, I looked at it like, people like, you give people your cell number? I'm like, absolutely. And I encourage them to call in 3 o'clock in the morning if they need me, because this is a relationship that's super important. And they're paying me tens of thousands of dollars to work with me. Like I don't understand the concept of this lack of what I call boutique. Like it shouldn't even be boutique. It should be normal. But I think that the foundation behind it, AG, is that people just legitimately are solely focused on metric of money, and there's not that genuine desire to just be the best and actually care about people. Most people would look at you and be like, oh, the way this guy talks and the shit he does, he doesn't care about people. I would say you care about people more than most fucking people out there. You know what I mean?
The most.
Yeah.
Anything for our customers. You know what I mean? Our customers, it's not just a customer service. Like, we don't have like the customer's always right. Not at all. Our customer's job is just to enjoy our product. That's it. And customers suggest things to me all the time, things we should do. And I was like, that's a stupid fucking idea. That'll fail immediately. I already know that idea is terrible because we tried it before. Whenever somebody suggests anything flip-flop wise, whatever you're thinking about right now, I thought of that shit a decade ago, and I thought about it for fucking weeks on end and ripped that idea apart psychotically. Like, it's the only thing that's on my mind nonstop. But you're right. These weird like coaching things. So people will people can be extremely successful in life, the best ever. Like I bet you I could go out and probably have, maybe this is probably fucking outlandish, but I could probably have a better series than Tom Brady one day. If I tried really hard enough, I go out there and play 4 plays better than Tom Brady, right? I hold 3 fingers up. 4 plays better than Tom Brady, right? Doesn't mean shit. That motherfucker can do it for 25 years. You know what I mean? You could go out and have a great fight. You got to have the best fight ever, but you can't maintain that for any period of time. So being able to maintain success is the grade. I don't care about who's number one at anything. It's how long have you been at number one for? And that's the most important metric, because it's easy to flash in the pan. But if you can keep a raging inferno until the day you die, my goal is solely for Toehold to continue on after I'm dead. That's it. That's it. A lot of companies can be really successful and they phase out, right? We've had all kinds of fucking bullshit, bro. You know what I mean? And as you make money, it's crazy. Like there's athletes that want you to sponsor them and you don't. And then they hate you because they wanted money that you're not going to give them because they're not worth it. Right. And then there's people that want to work for you that you're like, nah, we're not really hiring anybody. And then they hate you. Think about that. That's it. There's not a spot for you. They hate you and they campaign against you. And then there's people that just hate the fact that you spend millions of dollars on fucking protecting animals in Africa because they think you're killing animals. You know how cost ineffective it would be to kill an elephant for its leather? That's like fucking chopping down a redwood tree just to take the leaves off the top. Like it's so insignificant and worthless and dumb. Like we literally contribute hundreds of thousands of dollars just to animal park conservation and things like that. But you need to work more. You need to work harder. You need to put more on your back, delegate less. That's my thought process, is take on more responsibility, be a man, and run that all the way until you fucking die. You know what I mean? And if you don't, that's why these great companies don't exist anymore. You know what I mean? I watched Steve Jobs run that company until he was like 90 pounds, bro. And then he died, Then he passed it off to Tim Cook, and Apple fucking sucks now, bro. It sucks because it's all a bunch of bean counters. They literally, like when Steve died, we went from like, we never monitored how many hours somebody worked. Like if you worked for me, Mark, and you wanted to work 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, nobody gave a flying fuck as long as you're productive. Now it's like, well, Mark's worked his 40 hours. Let's give it to somebody else. Get the fuck out of here. This guy's killing it. Let him keep fucking killing it. Why would you not give him the ball? Right? You're going to pull Kobe out of the game because he's just fucking hit 100 points? Fuck no. Keep him going. Keep that shit going forever, bro. So that's weird mentality. I don't get it. I don't get it at all.
I don't get it either. And, I think you've seen this on Instagram or TikTok, and Dana says it. He's like, if you just have this much of savage in you, Dana White, he's like, you'll just crush it today because everyone's so soft and no one wants to put in the work. And the hard part for me is it keeps getting softer, right? Like, I mean, the models now are Andrew Tate and Jake Paul, right? Like for fighters, I'm like, Jake Paul is like the number one like ticket for a fighter today. And you're just thinking to yourself, like, where is the real depth of character and integrity and hard work? And I've been doing this for 25 years versus some flash in the pan guy that's just trying to make money from YouTube views. Like it's just the way the world's moved. And I think that we're just a dying breed, unfortunately, man.
Good. The world can't handle somebody like me for 200 or 300 years, bro. Can you imagine? Can you imagine the empire we would amass if we were around for 200 or 300 years? If humans lived that long, it'd be crazy.
I mean, bro, they're talking about this whole immortality thing. It's crazy. Like it's looking like
that's never gonna happen.
We'll see.
By the way,
listen.
Dana White's one of our customers too.
Of course he is.
Shout out to Dana
because he values quality. I was gonna ask you. I don't want to talk about it on this podcast because I want to do a follow up because I want to hear about the whole new business. But I want to finish this podcast up today with
Don't bring up snakes, bro, because I'll hijack this podcast. We'll be talking about
we're gonna talk about snakes next one. Anybody who wants to see AG and I talk about snakes, let us know because we're gonna talk about that next time. So, but what I do want to just finish up with is, listen, I know you're a fucking tough guy. I've been around you for 25 plus years, but I know you got a big heart too. You got one of the biggest hearts I've ever seen, and this shit's not easy. right? This is not an easy task. And I'm just curious if you have any wisdom or advice for the entrepreneur that's, and from your heart too, not like you're a fucking bitch, get your shit together, but like seriously, like, you know, you go through some dark times. I'm sure you've had lawsuits. I'm sure you've had just fallouts. I know you had some recent fallouts with some jujitsu guys and things like that. And I'm just curious, like, as you go through those dark times, is there any wisdom or advice you got for these entrepreneurs that are considering giving up or just struggling and having tough goals to meet in general?
Yeah, it's super easy to keep going forward. So I had this famous comic asked me to go to breakfast one day. And no, I'm friends with a lot of comics, and you guys know who I'm friends with, but it's not anybody you'd normally guess. And he's like, "Listen, bro, I got this fucking guy. He's always he's like a professional troll, and like the guy's been online talking shit about my kids and like just saying really like vulgar stuff about my kids. And he's like, I honestly want to kill him, dude. He's like, I legitimately want to kill him. And I know you've been to jail. Like, is there any advice you could give me?" And I was like, absolutely, bro. I said, killing him would be easy. But I said, picture this. Picture you're doing life in prison, okay? And it's 30 years from now, you know, and you're mopping a floor. And I walk up to you and I said, you know, hey, Mark, you've been here for 30 years and I want to make you an offer. The offer is we're going to let you out of jail right now. The downside, and you're going to make like $2 million a year and you're going to be famous. But the downside is people are going to make fun of you online and people are going to talk shit about you online and people are going to accuse you of things online and people are going to make fun of your kids online. Would you give up this life living in prison for that life with the caveat that you have to deal with like a little bit of the harshness online? Every human in the world would say, fuck yeah. Right? So why would you switch spots with that fucking guy?
Totally.
Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. I think it's a huge perspective shift. And it reminds me of just, what I would break it down to from a little woo-woo side, you know, I'm a little more woo-woo than you, is just gratitude. Like just gratitude of like the opportunities you have to fail, the opportunities you have to struggle, the opportunities you have to just be grateful. I mean, dude, me and you've got buddies locked up. Me and you've got buddies that are serving in a sandbox right now. You know, just like there's, you know, I think the biggest piece of that is just like, your life is amazing. Like keep fucking pushing, you know?
Yeah. Being motivated. So we work from our house here in Las Vegas. We've had a shop before, but a shop's a waste of time and money. It's just, you drive to go to a place that's built out of the same materials as the shop at your house. When I buy my next house, it'll be a little bit bigger and we'll have like a big building on there. They'll be designated for it. But people ask like, how are you stay motivated working at home? I'm like, I don't even understand that question. Like, how do you not get motivated working at home? Do you want to go out? Like, for example, you asked me to do this podcast. It's zero. If I had a day job, I couldn't. I'd be working right now. I'd be on the clock. I have to do it on my lunch break. You can break away and do small things that you want to whenever you want, but you have the luxury. If you have the luxury of working for yourself, oh my God. First off, put in all the hours because it's going to be beneficial. Two is it's a representation of you. If you can't be successful on your own, and not everyone's meant to do it. Some people are great being employees. The world needs employees, right? The world needs winners. The world needs losers. It needs people in between, all that type of stuff. But if you're the type of guy that wants to go out and work for themselves, you have to be able to work harder than everybody else. You have to be able to network. And really, you have to be able to tell your story. And this is probably the biggest aspect is it doesn't matter the product. You know, we make the best product in the world. I always say that product is worth zero. It gives us zero accolades. It holds zero value as to what we do, right? It's all the above and beyond things that matter. So let's say I had the best fucking shoes on the planet. That's not worth anything. Nobody gives a fuck. I have to have exceptional customer service. I have to have great communication. I have to have great marketing, great branding, great advertising, great systems, great logistics, great staffing. It's all those other things that set you apart. The product doesn't matter. You want to sell shirts? Do it. Make them the best and then hold zero accolades, hold zero to that, right? You want to do the best self-help program? Awesome. That's worth nothing. It's all the other things, right? You want to make the best watches in the world? That's great. make the best watch. Now that's worth zero. It's all the other things that matter. And if you're not good at the other things, and if half of your company is not dedicated to telling your story, then your company will 100% fail. 100%. Half of it has to be telling your story, and you have to tell it all the time, every day. And you can't get tired of telling it.
100%, dude. I was just going to finish off with this is that like, you really want to be the best. You want your company to be the best. You have to be an unshakable founder. That's really the truth. And I tell people all the time, I say, everybody wants to be the hero. Nobody wants to go through the hero's journey. And so what I would end this with is just simply like, this is the price you pay. You want greatness. It's not some story where you just hung out on a fucking cloud and everything was dropped in your lap. This is what it takes. So, dude, I appreciate that, man. That's awesome.
The cool thing about when you start, quote, being successful is other successful people will be drawn to you. And then you can pick and share ideas. But if you're trying to start a business, no one's going to help you because you haven't done enough. Just like if you were like a great up and coming boxer. Like if I knew nothing and I bumped into Mike Tyson, I'm like, hey bro, how do you slip this? He's going to be like, get the fuck out of here, kid. Like you're not even ready to hear what I have to say. But if you're an up and comer, even baseball, football players, right? You'll see the old school guys will show them like how to slip a block, how to throw the spiral a little bit better because they know that you're on a similar path. But until you get on that path, no one's going to help you. And you don't need people's help, but other people will be attracted to you if you start showing levels of success. And that's how these guys start building their networks is you can't just be like, I want to start a business. You have to do it, be functioning in that business, go through the hardships, and other people will be drawn to your success. And you guys can climb together. And just get rid of everybody in your life that's not a distraction. At the end of every year, go through your contacts, just delete anybody who's not part of your future. It's great. Those people were awesome. They're part of your past and not part of your future. Get rid of them.
Bro, I just want to say thank you so much, man. And I got to say it's interesting because like such wisdom. Like I know you don't see yourself that way, but fuck, bro. It's a lot of wisdom. And I think the founders will find some real value in it. And thank you for just jumping on here with me, man.
I got to thank my 7 years of public school education, bro, because that's all I got. That's all that was given to me. It's all I needed. That's all I needed. I was like 7 years. It's like, I got this, bro. I'm going out in the real world. That's all I need.
Crushing it.
Love you, bro.
Thanks, brother. I love you too, man. It's been awesome. Appreciate you.